there's heaps of reasons why you might be buying in other states. I thought we could kind of look into why you'd be looking to buy in another state and then kind of how you go about doing it.
Yeah.
If you're from elsewhere looking to buy here on our beautiful island, or if you're looking to leave our beautiful island and move somewhere else.
Going once, going twice, sold. You're listening to the Property Pod.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Property Pod, your weekly engagement into real estate here in the Hobart Marketplace. I'm your king of podcast entries, Aaron Horn, getting it right every week. Pat's been letting the world know. So here I am with Patrick Berry, John McGregor, real estate agents at 414 Property Co. And if I keep talking and I don't leave a gap, they won't get to talk for the whole podcast. And this will be just a show where it's all about me. And I run out of steam, so I'm going to have to throw to one of the guys.
I was really hoping we had that cricket noise. John and Pat's not here.
Well, I just wanted to we can be the Joker and the thief at this point.
You'll have to explain that reference to me.
With the what's the band that the Joker and the thief and
Wolf Mother.
Wolf Mother, yeah.
There you go.
How does that fit into?
Because you're the king. Because you're the king. Well, I could be the dance, and
you were drawing a really long bow, and neither of us jumped on board the arrow to fling it into
I was going to use another Raw reference, but then that song started playing in my head, and I was going to roll with it.
I get it now. He's basically saying the head's lead singer Wolf Mother's the only one with any talent.
Yeah, exactly. So no problem. You'd actually had a fro like the lead singer of Wolf Mother in the previous life.
100%. Well, it was long enough that I could chew on it.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. Like it was that long.
Now we've started strong.
Oh, yeah. But if I had the capacity to be able to have straight hair, I would have 100%. All the things that make me.
But nobody gets to choose the.
Yeah, I know.
Cut of their hair.
Yeah. But the problem was that old me was in the wrong era. Like curly hair wasn't popular when we were sort of in our 20s.
Okay.
Hairy chest.
Wait.
You're a man born out of you.
If it was 70s, forget it. But it was just I was my prime was the wrong era. That's it. That's all the things. Anyway,
hairy chests just weren't in when we were in high school, but just didn't work for anyone.
Man, you would be
man scarves.
If this was the first episode of the podcast, if you just thought someone recommended this property podcast,
highly
scroll back to 170 episodes.
I'm just going to start at this one. Someone told me it was good.
Wolf Mother and
you've made a terrible mistake.
You've made a huge mistake. Go back now. Go back to what you were listening to. This is not the podcast for you.
All right, let's move this shit
Moving forward with real estate talk. What's happening out there in the world of Hobart real estate currently? Hit me with a market update.
Well, it's actually been pretty good the last week and a half. A lot more showings. I feel like that spring bug has almost bitten. Yeah. Maybe he's just crawled out and he's found somewhere, but he hasn't quite latched on just yet.
Yeah. But there feels like people are coming out of the woodworks. The sun's out, guns out. Let's get into the market.
Martin had multiple offers on a property on Saturday / Monday. He was working through that. Maz just signed off one at like 10 o'clock last night where she had multiple offers.
Yeah.
As well. So it's been a long 6-12 months since we've seen sort of multiple offers. And I'm not saying that, we're going to take
it's
off
the sign
like
of the times and jump back straight into it.
But it just does feel like over the last week that maybe we've just hit the lucky spot and had a couple of properties that ticked boxes. I don't know, but
it could be.
Yeah.
But we've had historically though, it's always September, October, November, and
always
February, March, April. So they're always the busiest months anyway. So in what we've had is the slowest market in a long time. But we're still in a slow market, but compared to where we were.
If we're 10% more, we're way better than we were before.
With that said, there's a bunch of factors to that too. The interest rates have been put on hold several times at this point. So there's
inflation's been down.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means, but apparently it's important.
It sounds like we know what it's about.
I'm just looking after that one guy that thinks we're important. Exactly. That just started today for the first time.
Yeah, first time listener. Yeah,
I think that I was chatting with a friend last night, and he because they're developers, and he recounted that land sales are still very slow compared to what they were, and they've had large amounts of discounting across different sites in order to be able to encourage that activity.
So could that be based on the cost of building?
That's exactly
very much so. I've met multiple people over the last couple of weeks, and I'm one of them, where they've got as far as everything's approved, ready to start construction.
Yep.
And they're second guessing themselves.
Yeah.
Do we build? Do we not build? Do we just buy something finished and sell the block at a loss? That's what a lot of people are thinking at the moment.
And I think that's still a lot of uncertainty on a day-to-day basis for people to consider what they want to do. So a lot of people are still delaying And there are a lot of people still that are stuck in the situation of needing to sell before they buy. So I think it's that it's really easy to get a couple of really active weeks and go, oh my God, things have changed. And look, like we said, probably 10% they have.
Yes.
But the fundamentals across the board in terms of living expenses, et cetera, and the uncertainty around just the actual cost of holding property at the moment hasn't changed.
Yes, sure.
So what we do see though is no matter what market, there are always people that have that aspiration of owning a home or those that have to move.
Yeah.
So that activity is always there. But it would seem to us that it's still going to be some time before it would reconvert into a seller's market and will stay either a buyer's or a balance for
Yeah, well, I guess it's an interesting kind of question just to pose, I guess, right at the start of a uptrend or perhaps an uptrend is, do we see it going further and back towards where we were, or is it just going to stay kind of balanced and, you're in a mild state of flux? You just had the right properties because the ones I know that have got offers over the last 5 days, stunning properties.
Exactly.
Like, really, really nice. It's just like, I'd chuck an offer in on them if that was in a position to do so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So is it just that, or is there something in the air?
I think the key to that is well-presented homes always attract attention.
100% agree.
Like, so if you're thinking about selling, you've got to, like John always says, remove the buts. And you're right, the two that have had really good interest, like Martin's was a very old original home, sort of 70s style, but it was very neat and tidy.
Neat as a button.
It was like polished to an inch of its life.
Fairly priced for its size as well.
Yeah. So I can see people looking at that thinking this is a good place to get into and I can make something of this, modernize it, do what I want to do with it. It was in a great area. So I can see why that one went off.
And then on the other side of the coin, Maryland's one, it might be, I don't know if this is no, it doesn't affect the property. The owner cared so much about how it was presented that she'd gone to Bunnings and found some spray paint and just a few of the patches in the grass, spray painted them green just so they'd look better.
That's excellent.
When I'm taking the photos, I knew the vendor, I said, what's going on here? She said, I didn't want the grass to look bad. So,
and you were like, I could have just fixed it.
Yeah, I could have fixed it in post. I could have just fixed it up and made it. But she thought about every little factor of presenting the property perfectly. And it clearly worked. I think it was on the market for like 4 days. So
good.
Well played. Where I thought we could jump from there was I've actually got a question from my partner who sent it to me a few weeks ago. So I'm actually planning on releasing this episode, putting it out into the world. She's been asking me constantly.
Long-time listener of the show, I assume.
Yeah, Sarah listens all the time.
Just like Abby.
Yeah.
Actually, Kathy falls asleep when she listens to us.
Well, I've got two friends that use us for it to go to sleep at night.
Sorry, mate.
We're ASMR, baby. No, she sent me this question. It was in like one of her mum chat groups that she's got on Facebook sort of thing, and it was kind of someone reached out asking, I'll pull it up and I'll get it right. But she asked me to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I said, honey, I got you covered. Like, I'll talk about it this week.
We'll put a timestamp to let them know where they need.
Don't listen to any of the other rubbish.
Yeah.
Listen from now. But basically, it was in this Hobart Mummies group, and it was someone asking about buying a house in another state. And the question clearly was, is it doable? Like, how would you go about it? I'm assuming so, but how does one's anxiety cope? Do real estate agents do Zoom-style inspections? And how's the process of buying in another state? And we've kind of talked about it in the past, and we've talked about it kind of with Simon Presley with people investing in other areas. But I guess there's heaps of reasons why you might be buying in other states. I thought we could kind of look into why you'd be looking to buy in another state and then kind of how you go about doing it.
Yeah.
If you're from elsewhere looking to buy here on our beautiful island, or if you're looking to leave our beautiful island and move somewhere else.
Well, I think the first part to that is to consider who is it that's representing your interests. So if you are doing it by yourself and you're trying to lean on the selling agent of any particular property, bear in mind that you might end up dealing with 10 to 15 different real estate agents, all representing their own individual properties for their own individual clients.
Yep.
So the degree of the service and what they're going to provide for every house is going to be vastly different. You might end up finding a selling agent that actually works with you very, very well, that is helpful in answering its questions, all your specific questions. And then you might be very comfortable with the experience you've had. They've had Zoom meetings. They've put you in contact with local conveyancers or local building inspectors, and you could feel very, very trusting in that transaction. With that said, though, like there was friends of ours that had bought interstate previously when they'd first moved to South Australia, and they went in green. They're from Tassie, and the agent at the time didn't describe to them that you actually need pest inspections. So in that case, they bought a house and they found out 6 to 12 months later that the damn thing was riddled with termites.
Okay,
and
yeah.
it cost them a small fortune to fix it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So on the other side, then, if you engage a buyer's agent, for example, it's a completely different kettle of fish. Yes, you're gonna have to pay for their service, but in that instance, then is that they are 100% in defence of your your interests. So they will do the inspections for you. They will identify things of concern. They will be able to point out things that you need to consider in line with what you're hoping to achieve. So if you are looking to purchase interstate, you really need to consider how much time you have to invest and how confident you are in making those decisions confidently with potentially no one who's acting in your best interests.
Bombshell.
Sorry, I was trying to jump off on that.
No, that's fine. So
you're perfect. That's a great way of looking at it, because you've got to make the decision, is that investment in money worthwhile to have the buyer's agent, or am I prepared to run the risk a little bit and learn along the way?
Yeah.
That to me is a very important, the first question you have to answer. And what purpose are you buying for? Are you buying to live in yourself, or are you buying for an investment purpose?
Yeah, I guess I thought before we go further down the road, what if we just kind of defined like some of the reasons you might be looking to buy interstate? So kind of the ones that jumped out to me, and hit me if I'm wrong or if there's any other ones. But I was thinking, you're either chasing an investment opportunity, you're looking to diversify your investments and
portfolio.
Have places all over the place. You're relocating for a job, looking for a lifestyle change, or there's kind of family considerations, like you're thinking about moving further or closer to family. You might be trying to escape them. You might be trying to get closer to them. I know the place that Marilyn sold just the other day, the vendor there is looking to move to Queensland. They're actually away this past period looking into buying interstate. So it's a really good jumping off point for them into.
And I think that's where almost, if you've got the means, it's a great way to start. If there's an area you think you want to move, go spend a week there and get to know it a little bit better. Like, people that move or want to move to Tasmania, they don't know the difference between Bridgewater and Rosetta or Sandy Bay. So you need to get in there and actually go and drive around those suburbs and get a feel for what they offer, if you've got that flexibility to do it.
Yeah. I think in the conversation that was had on this Facebook group where this question came from, someone had said, just be really careful. I purchased a place in Dover before coming and visiting Tasmania. I ended up thinking that the drive from Dover was similar to the drive from wherever I lived in inner city, Sydney.
And that's a good example, because Sydney people travel for an hour and a half drive.
Exactly.
And so you look at somewhere like Dover, Oatlands, Orford, places like that, and you're like, that's not too far from Hobart. I can commute each day, but it's a different type of road.
Yeah.
Driving a highway for an hour and a half and at a very slow pace is
a completely different thing.
Driving 110 kilometres through a windy road every single day.
Well, and often too, is it where your home is in those, the regional centres, is that they still have all their essentials that they need at very, very close by on a day-to-day basis. But they're travelling for work. Whereas if you buy in regional, like an hour and a half here, you might not have anything that you need, and so everything then becomes travel. So I guess I know when we've had people buy from interstate from here, we'll find that they will, come here for a week. It's like, great, I'm going to look at 15 to 20 properties this weekend. I'm just like, bang, bang, bang. Can I, identify a few that you have? Can you help me on those? And then they'll journey through and get a feel for that area, which in my mind, like if you're intending to, if you're intending to live there, that has to be, it's almost like you have to do it if you can,
But then flip side, if you're looking at an investment purpose, then it's more a data-driven exercise.
Yeah,
so it's a lot more online research, figuring out which ones have better rent returns. It might be worthwhile reaching out to a local real estate agency and asking to talk to their BDM, like what you have here, Joe. She might be able to give insights as to which areas are better to buy in versus others. So when you buy an investment, you don't necessarily want to talk to the sales agent. You want to talk to someone in the rental department area to find out the agent saying that this will rent for $500 per week. and maybe not even talking to a rental person from that same agency, talk to an independent one just to get some advice.
So the next kind of point I put down for this was, you research the area. If you can get there, go and check it out. Look at the schools, the amenities, all the things that are around there. Even whether you're investing or not, you might want to find out whether it's a up-and-coming suburb or if it's one that's kind of plateaued. The next one was, find your local real estate agent and maybe don't just hit up the first one you find.
Yeah.
Chat to a few.
Yep.
Find out, if you gel with this person, you might find that someone, is a snake oil salesman who's just, sweet, someone from Tassie, they've got 2 heads and I've got them sorted. Or they might be like, it's a live in Tasmania. I used to live just 3 streets over from your grandma, and I know everything about it. Know exactly what you're chasing.
It's like when people tell us they're from Sydney. Cha-ching. Let's go this way, people.
I swear at this point it's more of our clients that say that. And look, if we just found someone from Sydney or Melbourne, they'll just pay it. They'll just pay it. Like, sweetheart, that's not how it works.
But yes, so search out your local real estate agent. And then, one I hadn't considered in my research phase was your buyer's agent. So, that's kind of someone else that you can engage with that would, do some of the legwork that we're discussing.
Well, the buyer's agent is a great option if you're looking to live in the home or buying it as investment. They can put their different hat on and really drill into what it is you're trying to find in a property. The other beauty of a buyer's agency is that they have a lot of strong relationships with agents, and they might find something that's not officially for sale, especially in this market where people are too nervous to go to market unless they can get what they want for the home. So there's some deals that are happening off books because, I'd sell if I could get $500,000 for it, but I don't want to go on the internet just in case.
Right.
But a buyer's agent might have the perfect buyer for it and connect the two together, done and dust it.
Well, when you a cost to benefit ratio, if you have to do multiple trips to interstate before you found a house that you like, because you're trying to, and then you're missing appointments because it's sold and et cetera, and you're like, but I just don't want to pay, let's just say 10 grand for their services. Well, they're on the ground and they're doing that work for you every day of the week, as opposed to you only having 48 hours to fly there, just smash out 20 properties back to back and hoping you're going to find a needle in the haystack. And then, I've done this many trips, I better buy something, otherwise I'm wasting my time. You've probably spent more time and more money just by attempting to do that work yourself in order to think that you're saving money. So again, it really depends, I suppose, on what it is you're trying to get out of it. And I think even if you're looking for a house to move into, I still feel, and you are using a buyer's agent, I still think it's important to visit the suburb in which you're intending to buy so you can get a very good feel of it. But after that, they will be doing, lengthy video tours and descriptions and conversations with you to try and ensure that you are buying a house that you love if you want to, move into it. And then,
video tours is a great jumping off point for the next bit was, in that question in the group was, do real estate agents do Zoom tours or video calls?
Oh, yeah.
Easy answer, yes.
And I've had a few properties where we haven't had phone reception. So I've had a video chat with them before. And they've said, well, I want to know this, this, and this. And then I've gone and filmed a video based on what they were asking and sent that through to them. So, there are ways to definitely get more information to people easily these days.
And then on like my side of the marketing fence of trying to create this beautiful kind of video that happens and you show all the beautiful things in the property, but you don't want to just know the beautiful things, and I'm not going to be going and filming.
Let's not painted easy.
Exactly.
Opening up the cupboard and closing the pantry door. It doesn't happen.
Whereas a Zoom one where you can be like, look.
Taps work.
Yes.
Doors work. Toilet flushes.
Are there any broken windows? Are there any of these kind of things that I need to know about? Boom. This is a way that you can kind of get across that.
And if you're working with a selling agent that is prepared to put in the work, they will do that for you. Some may not, and I guess that's the thing where, like you said, don't only just ever speak with one, speak with multiple. And generally speaking, that's not an option because not one agent has all the properties in the market for sale. But it is just a luck of the draw sometimes, depending upon the level of service that you're going to get.
Just before we sign off, the last one I thought about where you brought up the termites as well. So that's something that we don't really deal with here on our beautiful island, which I mentioned before.
We are very lucky on that front.
So that's something that you've got to consider on the mainland is, pest controls or things that are happening in other states. Can you run me through what you guys know about kind of what you should be doing if you're purchasing on the mainland?
Well, each state has different legislative requirements. So a few of them will have that a building and pest inspection must be prepared at the time of listing and has to be made available for the purchasers to view.
Yeah, sure.
Where in Tassie, it's still very much buyer beware, where no disclosures have to be made, and most of the research is put onto the purchaser to make sure that what they're buying they're confident in. So each state has different rules in that sense. I guess on a very simple way to look at it, you have to consider understanding the conditions of a property will go through is your building and structural, electrical and plumbing. After that, of course, then there is the addition in interstate, which is your pest inspection, so termites. And Tasmania is unique in that sense where we're the only state where that's not required.
Yep.
But if you're buying anywhere else in Australia, the building and pest is an absolute essential. So I think another important thing if you are buying interstate is you don't have the relationships that you can lean on for advice or recommendations like you would with friends who've bought previously. So even if you are then speaking with an estate agent and they might say, look, I'll recommend you use this guy or this girl, just maybe get someone else to get a second opinion about who someone else might use as well for both legal representation and, maintenance on that respect as well, because there are just like every industry, there are different price points and different quality of service that you may not get on your first recommendation.
This might be a silly question. I don't know if it is. Can you use a Tasmanian conveyancer?
No. The reason why they recommend you use is because every state has its local laws.
Yeah.
And so you just want to use someone in that state that obviously
knows the ins and outs of it.
Specialises in that area.
Yeah. No, just as you were asking, I was like, never really thought.
In theory, sorry, man.
I was just going to say, but some lawyers have affiliations with other lawyers in other states.
Yep.
So maybe you're using, Butler McIntyre and Butler here in Hobart, but you want to buy a property in Melbourne. They might have a law firm in Melbourne that they do a lot of work with.
Yeah, sure.
So you can talk to your local lawyer and he may be able to recommend someone in whatever state you're going to.
Or you might be working with a national law firm who then has their pockets. And, look, I think in theory it can be done, but it's not a good advice.
Well, yeah, and what you're describing is, know the local market and be all over that. You don't want Joe Blow from down here being like, termites, what are termites? I've never heard of those things. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
I think people forget the purpose of the engaging in legal representation is it's not for when things go right, but it's when things go wrong. So if you've got someone who's unfamiliar with the local laws and they're trying to defend your case, well, they're just going to be way less effective than someone who knows it inside and out.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. Cool. So, answer is, this is how you can go about.
It can be done.
It can be done. It is doable.
Yep.
It might be something that does provide you with anxiety, but there are ways that you can mitigate those.
Yeah.
Reach out to local agents, find out more about the area, and
buyer's agents.
Yes, that's what I hadn't thought of. Yes.
So utilise them if you think it's going to work for you. You might get rid of some of that anxiety.
Yeah, sweet. I love it. Hobart Mum, sorry about the start of this episode.
Just skip straight to maybe we could put just chop that and put that at the end. Probably not a bad idea, actually.
Wolf mother that can put his hair in his mouth.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
If that doesn't get the Hobart Mums excited.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for another fun episode of the Property Pod. We'll be back next week with even more. Like, share, subscribe, even if you don't like the start of the show. Yeah. The middle bit, there was something in there. All right, guys. Bye. You have been listening to the Property Pod, recorded and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Property Code.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek then use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this information without first seeking qualified and professional advice.